Today we are going to learn how to set up a proxy in Windows 10 and try to understand how it works on this episode of Cyber Tricks. We use proxy for internet privacy to keep us anonymous, access to geo-restricted sites and more. A proxy server acts as a gateway between you and the internet. It is an intermediary server which comes between you and the website we browse. So, how does a proxy server operate? We all know that every device on the internet needs to have a unique IP address like this. And a proxy server is basically a computer on internet with its own IP address that our computer knows. When we send a web request, our request goes through the proxy server first. The proxy server then makes web request on our behalf. It collects the response data from the web server and forwards us the web page data so we can see the page in our browser. There is no direct communication between our device and the web server. Now I'm gonna show you how traffic flows in general when we don't use proxy. First, let me show you my default gateway. So my default gateway is 192.168.1.1. Whenever I make a request to a certain web server which is in another network, then my traffic flows through this default gateway. What happens when I make a request to youtube.com? Basically, youtube.com replies to my request, right? I have no idea how traffic flows on the internet, but I can check by which route traffic went to youtube.com. For that, go to the command prompt again and type this command and address youtube.com and hit enter. It gives you a complete route to youtube.com. Here, over a maximum of 30 hops. It means that how many times your traffic goes from one network to another network. So when I first made a request, traffic went to 192.168.1.1, which is my default gateway. Then it went to 100.66.0.1 and all the way to 172.217.31.206, which is the IP of youtube.com. You can also check here. This is how you can check a route of a web server you have requested. Now I will show you how traffic flows when we use proxy. First, we have to set up proxy in our Windows 10. For that, go to the setting and open network and internet. You can find proxy at bottom. Click on it. You can use script address to connect to proxy server, or if you work for a company, then they will give you this script address so you can connect. For now, I'm going to set up proxy manually. So scroll down to manual proxy setup. Turn on use of proxy server. Here you can find address field and a port field. In address field we put IP address and in port field we put port number for that IP address. Now the problem is which IP should I use? I can't use any IP and I don't work for any company so they can provide me one. Well, we can search for the free proxy list on Google. Go to the Google and type free proxy list. And there is a one website called spy.one where you can find the list of IPs and ports for free. Only use this IP for education purpose. And you can't use any IP found here. You have to test one by one until you didn't find out one which works. But for me, IP located in Thailand works most of the time. So I'm gonna use this IP. And here everything after this colon is a port number. So I'm going to copy this IP and place it here in address field. And the port number is 8080 and the port number is 8080. Below you can find these two options. use proxy server except for the address that start with the following entries, and don't use this proxy server for local addresses. If you put here any address, then the proxy won't work for that web address. For example, if you put here www.youtube.com, then the proxy server won't work for this address. For now, I'm not going to put any address there. After you have completed your proxy setup, save it. Now you can check your internet. Is it running or not? Yes, my internet is running. It means the proxy server which I use is active right now. Now I am going to open the command prompt again and type this command again. Again it says over a maximum of 30 hops, and at first it went to 192.168.1.1 like before. If you notice here, this route is exactly the same as before. Now you are thinking like, what is the point of using proxy? Let me make you clear about this. First, you should know about both proxy and the command prompt works at the different layer of TCP/IP model. If you don't know what TCP/IP model is, then to make it simple, just remember it is just a set of protocol how one device should communicate with others on the internet. Command prompt works at transport layer of TCP/IP model, whereas proxy works at application layer of TCP/IP model. We can clearly see here that there is no any effect of proxy in command prompt. But if I do this, what's my IP in my browser, you can see that my device location changes according to my proxy location, and the IP address is 58.97.72.83. What if I turn off proxy server and check this again? Now it shows my true location and ISP and my true IP address. In summary, we can't change the IP of our device using proxy, but we can hide our device on the internet. Well, we can't hide completely, but for some limit we can. And always thanks for watching.